Freezing my ass off in Pittsburgh. Mom never calls. Not unless someone's dead or needs a check. This time it was the second one. Name's Jason. I'm 33, live in Columbus, Ohio. Grew up in a town so small in Indiana you'd miss it if you blinked. I work field ops for a commercial HVAC company. Lot of long hours, lot of cold rooftops. My folks and little brother still lived back home. I hadn't visited in maybe a year. I told myself it was work, but truth is, I just never felt like I belonged around them anymore. Anyway, she opens with small talk, weather, her foot pain, something about a neighbor's dog, then drops the real reason she called. Dad's turning 65 next weekend, and they're throwing a party. At the house. Before we go on. Quick note, before we start, tell us in the comments how's your day going and where are you joining from. And let's continue. Back to the call. She says it'll be a big deal. Says it fast, like she's reading off a script. Then she slides in the bomb. The caterer alone's gonna run $2,000. Doesn't ask me directly. Just says it like a sigh. Like she's overwhelmed and needs her good son to step in. That's how she works. Always with the guilt and fake helplessness. Thing is, I'd already been floating their damn mortgage since 2021. $1,300 a month, like clockwork. That's not a typo. I saved their house when the bank was ready to throw them out, and I never got so much as a thank you. Just more problems. So when she said the catering would be too much, I knew what she wanted. Not help, a handout. And as usual, without asking, she expected me to fix it. I don't know why I did it. Maybe because I thought, just once, it might actually bring us all together. I wired her the money that night. No questions asked. Just clicked the button like an idiot. I even cleared my calendar. Called my boss, moved my Monday job to Tuesday, stacked my week up front. Bought Dad a gift. Real nice set of German-made tools I knew he'd drool over. I figured maybe it'd be a good weekend. Maybe being home wouldn't suck this time. I should have known better. Saturday morning, I was on the road by 6:15 sharp. Coffee in the cup holder, GPS set, that toolbox wrapped up tight in the back seat like it was gold. I'd had it custom built in Germany, the kind of thing you don't just grab off a shelf at Home Depot. Dad was a sucker for quality tools, always had been. I figured it might actually mean something to him. The drive was smooth. Clear skies, barely any traffic. I burned through a few episodes of that true crime podcast I like, stopped twice for gas and a bathroom break. The closer I got to Indiana, the more everything started looking familiar. Cornfields, gas stations, little diners I hadn't thought about in years. Around 12:30, I pulled off the highway, made that last turn onto Ridge Hill Road, and slowed as the old house came into view. At first glance, something didn't sit right. The yard was cleaned up, like too cleaned up. No weeds in the driveway cracks, fresh mulch under the hedges. Even the porch had a new coat of paint, like some HGTV crew rolled through last week. Then I saw it, a brand new black mailbox out front. Not the rusted one we'd had since I was 12, the one with duct tape holding the door shut. My stomach dropped. Still, I parked like nothing was wrong, walked up to the door, toolbox in hand. Knocked. Waited. The guy who opened it looked like he should have been somebody's grandpa, not standing in my family's entryway. Balding, wire-rimmed glasses, wearing a fishing vest for some reason. I blinked. He gave me a polite but confused smile, like I was delivering packages. Hey, I said, shifting the toolbox to my other hand. I'm here to see my parents, Greg and Denise Palmer. He blinked once, then tilted his head. I think you got the wrong house, buddy. I bought this place about 2 weeks ago. I just stood there. I knew the number on the mailbox. I knew that crack in the front step, the screen door that always stuck, the way the shutters on the second floor tilted slightly left from when I kicked a football into them in 9th grade. I hadn't mixed up anything. This was the house. I'm sorry, I said, already backing up. That's not possible. This is my parents' place. He shrugged. Not anymore, man. You sure you got the right address? I didn't even answer. I turned, Walked down the porch steps like my legs didn't know what they were doing. My heart was hammering, that sick, hollow thump in my chest you get when something's really, really wrong. I yanked my phone out of my pocket and started dialing. First Mom, straight to voicemail, then Dad, voicemail, then my brother Tyler, also voicemail. Tried them again, and again. I paced around in front of the house like a lunatic, the sun beating down on me while the guy peeked through the window curtains like I might try to rob him. The 10th time, Mom finally picked up. "Jason," she said, all calm and chipper, like I was just calling to check in. "Where the hell are you?" I snapped. "I'm standing outside the house, the one you apparently sold. Some stranger just answered the door." "Oh, yeah," she said, like she'd just remembered. "We sold it. I meant to tell you. It all happened kinda fast." "Kinda fast?" I felt heat shoot up my neck. "You sold the house? The house I've been helping pay for? And didn't think to mention it?" "We had to move quick," she said, breezy as hell. "Tyler met someone, online. She's Italian, owns a vineyard or something. Invited us to stay with her. We're in Florence now. It's beautiful." I had to sit down on the curb. I couldn't even process what I was hearing. "Wait, you're in Italy? Right now?" "Mm-hmm," she said, chewing something. "And we actually did a little birthday party for your dad here. Just family. Nothing fancy." I looked down at the goddamn toolbox in my hands. "You mean the party you asked me to send money for? You used it to fly to Europe?" "Well," she said with a laugh, "the catering thing kinda shifted. The money helped cover the travel, sure, but it was all for your dad. You know how much he means to all of us." I could barely get the words out. "You lied. You used me." "Oh, don't be dramatic, Jason," she said, like I was the unreasonable one. "It's not like we left you on the street." Before I could go off, the line cut. She hung up. I stared at the screen. Call ended, and then tried again. Blocked. I checked Facebook. Couldn't find her. Checked the family group chat. Gone. My brother's contact. Blocked. Email? Bounced back. They erased me. I sat there on the curb, staring at the place I used to call home. Toolbox sitting at my feet like some cruel joke. Everything I'd given, everything I'd hoped for this weekend, just set on fire and left in the rear view. And they didn't even look back. I just sat there on the curb, feeling like the bottom had dropped out of my whole damn life. The house I grew up in wasn't mine to come home to. The family I thought I was still a part of? Gone. Erased me with one click. My phone buzzed. One more message before the block hit. "Don't make this harder than it has to be." I just stared at it, like I wasn't the one who just drove 6 hours with a $1,000 gift in my trunk. Like I hadn't wired them $2,000 5 days ago for a fake-ass party they threw across the damn ocean. I wasn't hurt yet. Not fully. I was numb, shocked, confused more than anything. So I sat there and replayed the call, word for word, until it all started to click. She said it happened fast. That was her excuse for not telling me they sold the house. But there's nothing fast about signing paperwork, packing a lifetime of crap, wiring money overseas, and booking 3 one-way tickets to Italy. That's planning. That's coordination. That's lies stacked on top of lies. The part that really made my stomach twist, when she casually dropped the bit about the birthday party. Just family. She meant them, not me. They toasted my dad with wine in a villa or some shit while I was loading up on gas off I-70. I'd cleared my calendar. I'd rearranged everything. I was standing in front of a stranger's house because my family left the country and didn't even leave me a damn note. I pulled up my bank app, stared at the outgoing transfer to Denise Palmer from earlier that week. $2,000. Labeled catering. What a joke. They didn't even try to hide it. I called again. Blocked. My brother? Blocked. They didn't just leave me out. They scrubbed me from existence. Like I was some ex they didn't want their new life to know about. I sat in the car for I don't know how long. Sun was high. Toolbox still on the seat next to me. Felt heavier now. Like it knew it was a waste of money too. Eventually, I turned the key and just started driving. I didn't even know where I was going. I just knew I wasn't going home yet. I pulled into a McDonald's parking lot just to get out of the car. Got a coffee I didn't even drink. Just sat there with the AC on and tried to breathe through the punch in the gut. Every time I thought about it, more pieces slid into place. The mortgage I'd been covering since 2021, over 3 years of payments, $1,300 a month. That's nearly $60,000, all while they were making zero effort to get on their feet. I thought I was saving the house so they wouldn't lose it. Turns out, I was just pumping up their home value so they could cash out clean. They didn't sell the house fast. They timed it. They didn't forget to tell me. They made sure I wouldn't ask questions until they were gone. They didn't accidentally leave me out of the party. They never planned to include me. It all made sense now. The fake stress over catering, the passive guilt trip tone, the convenient timing of the birthday. They played me. Every move, every lie, every block on social media was a chess piece in their little escape plan. I thought about the birthdays I helped cover when my brother lost his job, the bills I paid when Dad's medical stuff piled up, the groceries I door-dashed when Mom said she was too tired to shop. I wasn't a son. I was an ATM. And now that the cash was no longer convenient, they were done with me. I should have been pissed. And yeah, a part of me was. But the bigger part? I just felt cold, like a switch had flipped. The kind of cold that settles into your bones when you realize the people you spent your whole life trying to please never gave a damn about you in the first place. The final confirmation came when I tried to email Mom from my work account. Straight bounce back, blocked there too. She didn't even want my anger. Just silence, no explanation, no guilt. They left me in a parking lot 500 miles from home with a useless toolbox and nothing but a deleted family in my phone. And right then, I knew I wasn't just forgotten. I was disposable. I didn't drive straight home. I didn't call anyone yet. I just started heading north, not even sure where I was going. I needed to see someone who'd remember I existed, and there was only one person left who might still give a damn. I headed north without even thinking about it. Just drove. Windshield streaked with bug guts, toolbox rattling in the back seat every time I hit a bump. I didn't even have the address saved. I just remembered the turns from when I was a kid. 30 minutes later, I was pulling up to Aunt Lynn's ranch-style brick house just outside Muncie. Her car was in the driveway. Front porch light was on, even though it was still light out. I killed the engine, got out, and just stood there for a second. My shirt was stuck to my back, and my head felt like it was underwater. I hadn't even realized I was still holding my phone until I nearly dropped it walking up the steps. The door opened before I knocked. "Jason?" she said, eyes narrowing like she didn't trust what she was seeing. "Yeah, it's me." My voice came out rough, like I hadn't spoken in hours. She pulled the screen open and wrapped me in a hug before I could even blink. "Jesus, honey, you look like hell." "Yeah," I muttered. "Feels about right." She stepped aside, motioned me in like it was the most normal thing in the world. "Get in here, sit down. What's going on?" I dropped onto her couch like gravity had doubled. Didn't even take off my shoes. Her living room still looked exactly like it had 10 years ago. Same lace curtains, same Afghan draped over the armrest, same faint smell of cinnamon and laundry detergent. "I just left the house," I said. "Or what used to be the house." She froze halfway to the kitchen. "What do you mean?" "They sold it," I said, the words scraping my throat like sandpaper. "It's gone. Some old guy opened the door and said he bought it 2 weeks ago." She walked back slowly and sat across from me. "Sold the house? Greg and Denise sold the house?" "Without telling me," I said, and then blocked me. Every number, every app. I had to call 10 times just to get her to pick up. Her face dropped, like I'd hit her with a shovel. "Wait, what?" I nodded. She said it happened fast, then casually told me they moved to Italy. Tyler met some woman online, supposedly rich, has a place out there. So they packed up, cashed out, and left. She just sat there blinking like she couldn't hear right. They moved to Italy? Yeah, I said, laughing once, sharp, bitter. And apparently, they had Dad's birthday party today, in Florence, while I was parked on their old curb holding a $1,000 toolbox like a damn idiot. Her hand flew to her mouth. Oh my God, Jason. And that's not even the worst of it, I said, leaning forward. I've been covering their mortgage for 3 years. $1,300 a month. That's almost $60,000. Gone. And 5 days ago, Mom calls me asking for $2,000 for party catering. Doesn't say they've already sold the house and booked a flight. Just says she's stressed about the cost. So I wire it, like a good little fool. Aunt Lynn went dead silent. Her eyes weren't just wide, they were glassy. You've been paying the mortgage? She asked. Since they nearly lost the house in 2021. Yeah. And they never told you about the move? Never asked you to stop sending money? Hell no. They wanted every last drop. Used the cash to make the place look good for sale. New paint, cleaned up yard, all of it. I basically paid to stage their damn goodbye. She sat back, shaking her head slow. I knew Denise could be manipulative. But this is low even for her. They cut me out completely, I said. Not just forgot, cut. Blocked me from Facebook, the family group chat, even their emails. Like I'm some ex they want nothing to do with. Aunt Lynn leaned forward, elbows on her knees. Jason, listen to me. They used you. They saw you as a paycheck, not a person. You don't owe them anything now. Not time, not money, not guilt. I rubbed my hands over my face. Yeah, well, it feels like crap either way. I know, she said, her voice softer but still steady. But you need to hear this from someone who's not in the fog. What they did, that's betrayal. Not confusion, not desperation. Betrayal. They made a choice. And now you get to make yours. I didn't say anything. I just nodded once, jaw tight, like if I spoke again I'd lose it. She stood up and walked into the kitchen. A minute later she came back with a glass of water and a folded blanket. You're staying here tonight, she said. Couch pulls out if you want. Bathroom's down the hall. I'm not letting you drive back to Columbus in this state. I didn't argue. I didn't have the energy. I just leaned back and closed my eyes, the ache in my head finally giving way to something heavier. That night, I lay on Aunt Lynn's couch staring at the ceiling, watching shadows crawl across the paint. My body was still, but my brain wouldn't stop. I kept cycling through memories, birthdays, holidays, little moments that I thought meant something. Now they all felt fake, rewritten, like the credits had rolled, and I was the only one who didn't get the memo. They left me behind like I was nothing. But laying there in that dark, unfamiliar room, I realized something had snapped, and I couldn't put it back together even if I wanted to. When I opened my eyes Sunday morning, I knew exactly what I had to do. No more waiting for explanations, no more hoping for some apology that was never coming. I was done. Not temporarily, not until I cooled off. Permanently. Done. Aunt Lynn was already in the kitchen, scrambling eggs like it was just another Sunday. She offered me coffee, made me a plate, treated me like I still mattered to someone, which honestly hit harder than anything else. I sat at her table while she poured a second cup and looked at me with that cautious, worried expression. You sure you don't want to give it some time? I mean, they're still your family. I put my fork down and looked her square in the eye. Number family doesn't steal your future and throw you out like trash. She didn't argue after that. Just nodded, real slow, and said, all right then. After breakfast, I packed up the toolbox and thanked her for everything. Gave her a real hug, not one of those half-assed side pat things. She told me to call if I needed anything. I promised I would, though we both knew I probably wouldn't. I had too much to fix. Alone. The drive back to Columbus felt different. Same roads, same rest stops, but none of that sick, hollow weight in my chest. I wasn't grieving anymore. I was clean-cutting, There's a cold kind of peace that comes when you finally stop chasing people who don't want you around unless you've got a check in hand. I got back to my apartment that afternoon and tossed the toolbox in the closet without even opening it. Slept like a brick that night. No dreams, no spirals. Just quiet. Next day, I went back to work like nothing happened. I buried myself in jobs, picked up weekend calls, took contracts out of state when nobody else wanted them. I didn't take a vacation. I didn't slow down. I just worked, relentlessly, and it paid off. 18 months later, I had tripled my savings, paid off all my debt. I'd gotten good at living lean, cheap meals, no new clothes, no dumb impulse buys. Every dollar went toward my future, not theirs. Eventually, I found this small 3-bedroom fixer-upper in the northeast suburbs. Rough shape but solid bones. Detached garage, decent yard. Needed new windows, new plumbing, a complete gut of the kitchen. But it was mine. No cosigners. No backup names on the deed. Just mine. I'd never owned anything like that before. And the day I signed the closing papers, I sat in the driveway for over an hour, just staring at the front door. It still had the ugly storm door and chipped paint, but it was mine. I didn't know anyone, thanks. Didn't know anyone rent, and nobody could sell it out from under me. Somewhere along the way, I met Christy. She worked logistics for one of our suppliers, knew her stuff, always professional, always 5 steps ahead of whatever chaos we threw at her. We started off just grabbing lunch during deliveries, nothing serious. Then we hung out after work a few times, then more. It felt easy, which was a weird feeling for me. No drama, no manipulation. She didn't need saving, and she didn't need to save me. We were just 2 adults with our own lives who liked spending time together. After about 6 months, she moved in. We split everything, bills, chores, decisions. It wasn't just peaceful, it was stable. And for once, I felt like I wasn't patching holes or picking up after other people's disasters. I wasn't the fallback guy anymore. I was building something from the ground up, for me. I never heard a word from my parents. Not a postcard, not a call, not a whisper from their end. And I never tried. Didn't check their socials. Didn't ask around. If they wanted silence, they got it. The toolbox ended up in the garage, on a shelf. I never gave it to anyone else. Couldn't bring myself to use it either. Every time I saw it, I remembered that moment. Standing on the sidewalk in front of a house that wasn't mine anymore, holding something meant for a man who'd rather vanish than face me. But even that memory started to fade eventually. Got buried under fresh paint, weekend projects, quiet mornings with Christy drinking coffee on the back steps. The more I invested in my life, the less space there was for the people who'd cashed me in like a pawn ticket. People say blood is thicker than water, sure. But blood doesn't always mean loyalty. Sometimes it just means shared DNA and nothing else. And once you figure that out, walking away gets a whole lot easier. So I kept walking, and I didn't look back. 2 years after everything blew up, I was finally settled. The house was almost fully renovated. Christy and I had been living together for 6 months, and everything just worked. We had our own routines, our own space. No drama, no family ghosts hanging over us. Life was stable, quiet, safe. I had a 4-day work trip out in Kansas City. Big commercial install for a medical building, plus a presentation with corporate. Nailed every part of it. Even managed to sneak in some barbecue and sleep for once. I boarded my flight home that Friday night feeling like I'd finally found my stride. Somewhere over Illinois, I lost signal for about 40 minutes. When we touched down, I turned off airplane mode and the alerts started flooding in. 6 missed security notifications. All between 2:30 and 2:45 a.m. Rear door tamper, motion detected in the backyard, sensor triggered at the side gate. My stomach dropped. I tapped into the app. The door frame camera showed clear scratches right around the lock. Footage showed movement behind the fence, then 3 bodies approaching the back door. No masks, no attempt to hide from the camera. Just bold. I got home late, close to midnight. Christy was staying with her sister for the weekend, so the house was dark and still. The rear door frame looked like someone had gone at it with a screwdriver. Wood splintered, paint chipped off in chunks. The lock held, but barely. Inside nothing was missing. But I didn't sleep. I just sat on the couch, cycling through the camera footage, watching those three figures approach, back out, whisper, try again, over and over, then freeze, and disappear. The next morning, the officer arrived around 10 a.m. Older guy, probably seen it all. He pulled up the footage right there in the living room while I watched from behind him. As soon as the screen paused on a close-up shot, my blood went cold. "Do you know them?" he asked, glancing over his shoulder. I stared at the screen, jaw tight. There they were. Mom holding a flashlight, her hair pulled back, eyes wide like she was scared of being caught but doing it anyway. Dad hunched at the door with a crowbar, same ratty sweatshirt he used to wear when he did yard work. My brother standing a few feet back, peeking over the fence every 5 seconds like he was guarding a damn bank truck. "Yeah," I said. "I know them." The officer waited, pen in hand. "They're my parents and my brother," I said, deadpan. "And I want charges filed." He gave me a long look, like he was waiting for me to change my mind or soften the blow. I didn't. He nodded and started writing notes while I walked him through the timeline. Footage, sensor data, timestamps, even the vehicle make from the driveway cam. Every detail I had, I gave. Midway through the report, my phone lit up. Blocked number. I picked up. "Jason?" My mother's voice all shaky and sweet, like she hadn't vanished for 2 years and broken every ounce of trust I had left. "Yeah, I know who this is," I said flat. I didn't know who else to call," she stammered. "Please just listen before you do anything." "Too late," I said. "Footage is already being processed. Officers sitting in my living room." She sucked in a breath like I'd hit her. "Please, Jason, don't ruin our lives over one mistake. We were desperate. We didn't mean to scare you." I turned the speaker on and set the phone on the coffee table where the officer could hear. "You showed up with a flashlight and a crowbar at 2 in the morning. That's not desperate. That's a break-in." "We just needed a place to stay," she said, her voice cracking. "Things didn't work out in Italy. The woman Tyler met, she wasn't who she said she was. The money's gone. We've been living out of a van. So you figured you'd break into the house I bought by myself after you robbed me blind and vanished? That about right?" She started crying, loud, shaky sobs, like she was auditioning for sympathy points. "Jason, please. We didn't have a plan. We were out of options. You're our son." "No," I snapped. "I was your bank account, and you drained it. Now you want back in because you've run out of people to steal from." The officer didn't say a word, just kept writing. "Don't send that footage," she begged. "We'll leave. We won't come back. Just don't press charges. We're already at rock bottom." I leaned back and stared at the ceiling for a second before I answered. "It's already sent. You should have thought about this before you showed up with a crowbar." "Jason." I ended the call. Didn't yell, didn't cry. Just hit the red button and handed the officer the phone. "Anything else you need?" I asked. He shook his head. "We've got enough. I'll be in touch once it moves to the next stage." He left about 20 minutes later, and I sat there alone in my house, staring at the door frame that still had fresh gouges in it. The silence didn't bother me this time. They'd made their move, and I'd made mine. The footage was submitted, report filed, and I made one more stop before I could breathe again. Courthouse, Civil Division. Took about 30 minutes to file the paperwork. 2 weeks later, the judge signed it. 500 feet. No phone calls, no messages, no drive-bys, no contact. Period. I posted the order in a frame on the wall next to my front door like a sick little trophy. Not because I was proud, but because I wanted the reminder that there was a line, and they crossed it for the last time. A few days after the restraining order was approved, my phone rang. Aunt Lynn, "Hey, you're not gonna believe this," she said. I could already hear the disgust in her voice. "What now?" "They showed up here. All three of them. Didn't even knock. Just stood out front, waiting for me to come outside." I pinched the bridge of my nose. Jesus. They said they had nowhere else to go. Wanted to just talk. I told them to get lost. Told them exactly what I thought of just showing up after robbing their own kid and trying to break into his house like junkies. "Good," I said. "Thanks for not giving them an inch." "They're living out of a van, Jason," she added, her voice flatter now. "Yeah?" I leaned against the counter. "Not my problem. They burned their own bridge. Let 'em rot." There was a beat of silence, but she didn't argue. She knew me well enough to know I meant every word. I hung up and walked into the living room where Christy was finishing up her work call. She could tell from my face something was off. "Everything all right?" "They tried going to Aunt Lynn's. She kicked them off the property." Christy nodded once, closed her laptop and said, "Let's change the locks again, just to be sure." That afternoon, we replaced all the deadbolts, upgraded the back gate too, added 2 more cameras, one on the garage, one angled at the end of the driveway. I knew it wouldn't stop them if they were desperate, but it sure as hell gave me the peace of knowing I'd see them coming next time. The weird thing? I didn't feel scared. I wasn't even angry anymore. It was just business. They crossed a legal line, and I put a legal wall between us. If they wanted to live out of a van and beg strangers for couches, they could do that. But not on my lawn. Not in my world. About a month later, I got a call from the detective handling the break-in case. "Hey, Jason, just wanted to update you. All 3 took a plea deal," he said. "Okay," I replied. "What's that mean?" "No jail time. Misdemeanor charges, community service, and a fine. The court kept the restraining order active. They didn't fight it." I didn't ask how much the fine was. I didn't care if they were scrubbing bathrooms or sweeping sidewalks for 100 hours. The only part that mattered was that the law put them in a box. And that box didn't include me. After that, I didn't check for updates. I didn't ask Aunt Lynn for gossip. Didn't peek at public records. Didn't stalk Facebook to see if they'd made new profiles. I was done watching the train wreck. It wasn't my wreck anymore. Christy respected that. She didn't push for details. Just helped me reinforce the walls, literally and emotionally. She never tried to play mediator. Never told me I'd regret cutting them off. That silence from her meant more than all the advice I'd gotten in my life. The only moment I came close to feeling anything was when I passed a grocery store and saw this guy asleep in a beat-up van with tinted windows and trash piled on the dash. Just for a second, my chest tightened, wondering. But I kept walking. Didn't look back. I had a home now, a real one. And I had someone who didn't ask for anything but honesty and effort. I didn't have space in my life anymore for people who used guilt as currency and left me holding the bill. They made their decisions, and I made mine. Today the mortgage is gone, paid off 5 years early. My name's the only one that ever mattered on the deed. That house they tried to break into, still mine. Every room, every inch of drywall, every brick in the foundation. Christy and I got married last spring. Courthouse wedding, nothing flashy. Just close friends, a good dinner, and 0 baggage. We got a rescue dog named Tucker, who acts like he owns the place. He barks at the mailman and drags his blanket around like a toddler. And yeah, sometimes I catch myself thinking this is what peace looks like. The backyard's my favorite part. Grill on the patio, fire pit we built ourselves, lights strung along the fence. Every summer night we sit out there with music playing, a couple beers, Tucker chewing on a stick, and no memories from people who ever treated me like an afterthought. No echoes, no ghosts. The security system's still active. Same model. Same cameras. Not because I'm paranoid, not anymore, but because I like knowing what's mine stays mine. I earned this. Nobody gave it to me. Nobody gets to walk in and take it. Every now and then, someone at work or a neighbor will ask if I miss my family. Like there's some expectation that blood's supposed to cancel out betrayal. I always say the same thing. You don't miss people who treated you like a wallet on legs. They didn't just fail me. They planned it, lied with smiles, took my money and my time like it was owed to them, and when I was finally bled dry, they disappeared without a damn word. So no, I don't miss them. I don't think about where they are. If they're sleeping in the backseat of some rundown van in a Walmart parking lot, that's the bed they made, and they can rot in it. I don't owe them a phone call. I don't owe them some come-to-Jesus forgiveness moment where we cry and pretend it all meant something. I don't owe them anything. This life, this house, this peace, this woman I share it with, I built it. Every step. Through the lies, through the betrayal, through the silence that followed. I did it without their help, and sure as hell without their permission. No guilt, no apologies. And if they ever show their faces again, thinking they can weasel their way back into what I've made, I've got locks, cameras, and something they'll never get another shot at. My trust. What would you have done if your own family tried to break into your home after cutting you off? Drop your answer in the comments. And if this story hit home, make sure to like and subscribe for more just like it.
YouTube picked this for you. Tap it. Let's see if they guessed right.